are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio, live from Brooklyn at Barclays Center, where the Spurs made some histories. They go with number one pick, and they select, shocker here, Victor Wembanyama. Pretty much anticlimactic, but there was a lot to take away from the night's event. Joining me today is Kens 5 TV's digital side. He is Tom Petrini. Tom, welcome to Locked On Spurs, first of all. And by the way, you're looking very nice tonight.
You too, Jeff. Thank you.
I go with solid black all the time. It's safe, practical, easy.
I told people I was wearing teal, and I had to be like, it's not like teal, it's like teal.
Like,
you know?
Spurs teal.
Right. It's a little understated teal.
Nevertheless, Tom, it was pretty much anticlimactic. Although, we were joking about this. They didn't have to take all 5-8 minutes.
Right.
To worth the pick. I mean,
Spurs are on the clock. I wonder what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Even when Wembanyama said that was the longest 5 minutes that he had to wait.
Right.
But the point is that the pick was in, it was Victor, and away we go. The new era of Spurs basketball is here. Start with some takeaways from the event. I want to highlight something off the court with you that we highlighted on your digital TV stuff that's going to be out by now, hopefully. You should check that out live from Barclays. Is how much he's going to fit in the community. He was aware of the culture of the breakfast tacos, aware of the heat in Texas, actually visiting San Antonio for the first time ever. But nevertheless, I think he's going to be a great ambassador to the San Antonio community. And also admitted, too, he speaks a little Spanish or wants to learn a little Spanish.
I think beyond that, I mean, obviously he's seen the fan love here in San Antonio. Obviously, he's seen the excitement, right? But just watching him think, watching him talk about complex thought way outside of basketball, it gives me the thought that he's going to have some really interesting dinners with Greg Popovich and the rest of the guys.
Yep.
He seems like a philosopher at 19, and that's something that is about as rare as a guy who's 7'5" and can dribble and shoot, so it was really cool getting to talk to him a little bit today. Long day for him and for everybody around him, I'm sure. Long day for us. We're still here at Barclays Center.
Yes, everybody.
We're
it's
past midnight Eastern.
It's the next day.
Yeah.
Yes.
But gonna get on a weird train tonight, I'm sure. But
Tom, again, it was anticlimactic. But how much more can we dig into the kid? We know what he can do on the court. We know his numbers in French League. We know what he is off the court a little bit. It just feels like now we just got to get the job going. It just feels like, all right, let's get this going. I think that's the next step, is just on the court, what's going to be next. Our colleague, Nate Ryan, said that he feels that Tre Jones is going to be the point guard moving forward based on the events at Barclays in the draft. I tend to disagree a little bit. I mentioned this to him, I said, but obviously he's still young.
Right.
Something can still happen. I still think they're going to look to make a move at the point guard spots.
I think Tre Jones comes back.
Oh, for sure.
I'm almost. That was one of the things where when I put that Choose Your Own Adventure game up, one thing that became clear to me as I ran through all of the different permutations of it was it makes a lot of sense to bring Tre Jones back in almost all of these scenarios. Sure. Like, even if they go out and get a big point guard, you still want Tre Jones to be there as a backup, I think.
For sure, yeah. He knows the way, he knows the system already. He understands what Pop wants.
Pop loves him, competitor.
And he had my vote for last year's most improved player. I was going to give it to Jakob, but then Jakob got traded. So,
right.
But nevertheless,
could bring Jakob Poeltl back.
Yeah.
The Spurs can do a lot with the cap space. It's still trades to be made, and not that the Spurs necessarily have to make them, but there's a ton of flexibility still.
Yeah.
I think the feeling around the team is that they don't want to do everything all at once. You don't need to put all your eggs in a basket right now because you just got the egg, right? You don't need to blow all of the flexibility that you spent years building before you really know what you need to build around that guy.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we got to remember, too, he's just 19 years old. He's just a teenager still. Is he seemingly beyond his years? Of course. But I'm interested in seeing how he's going to mesh with this team. In my opinion, I think the team is already made for him. If we just trot out everybody who was from last year, run him back, insert Wemby, dare I say, challenging for a play-in spot?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that he elevates this team, A, and B, I think that last year's Spurs team, they were growing. They were in a bit overextended roles, a lot of the players, and they left a lot of meat on the bone in terms of results.
Right.
There were a lot of games where they played great for 36, 38 minutes, and then just fell apart at the end. So I think that a talent like Victor changes everything, changes the very geometry of the court for that group of players. So watching that play out is going to be really fun, I think.
I had a chance to speak with Victor very quick during the press conference, and I asked him, how much did Tony Parker and Boris Diaw help him prepare for the NBA? Don't forget, he played with Tony Parker's team Asvel, and Boris Diaw is a part of Metro's 92. And he said, if anything, they just prepared for the NBA, not necessarily for the Spurs. So it's good to have that French connection still thriving. It's going to spike up big time now, more so. Wouldn't be surprised if you see Tony Parker around more often than not, practice and checking in on him. Would not be surprised.
Speaking of the French, Spurs drafted 2 French guys tonight.
That's right.
Traded pick number 33, which I know was underwhelming and probably disappointing for a lot of people who were hoping they might trade up for another first-round pick. But at 44, they get Sidi Sissoko from G League Ignite, and guys 6'7",
sure,
wing, can shoot a little bit, athletic, averaged like 13 a game for G League Ignite, a couple French guys. Who would have thought?
And I want to talk to everybody about Bird Dogs. Like, Bird Dogs make you look good. Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh, leg, and giving you a truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. You don't want that. You want Bird Dog shorts. They do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better. Bird Dogs also uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day. Show yourself wearing Bird Dogs on camera. Talk about how they look good on you and out your friends. Get rid of that old stiff cotton shorts or pant. Get yourself some Bird Dogs right now. And you want to go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You don't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you. We're talking with Tom Petrini right here on Locked On Spurs. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at RealTomPetrini. And he's on Ken's 5 Digital. And make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, YouTube. We are part of the Locked On NBA Network, your team every single day. You guys are the everydayers. We thank you. So circling back to Wembanyama, he's going to get a King's welcome in less than 24 hours in San Antonio. There's probably people lining up at the airport as we speak. It's going to be a whirlwind for him. Now, for me, the immediate thing is his physical state right now. He said at Media Day that he feels fine, that he's in the best shape he's been since the French League's playoffs. But he went through a gauntlet tonight here in Barclays. He's on a flight to San Antonio. He has to do a Friday event, Saturday event. Then it's to Las Vegas for the NBA convention and Summer League, which he's going to play. And then there's Team France out in Indonesia for the FIBA basketball tournament. Tom, too much for the kid?
I mean, his whole basketball life has been building to this, right? And this last season in France, he played every single game for Metz 92. I think it was over 50, including the playoffs. Granted, he chose Metz 92 for a very specific reason. He was playing for Tony Parker's Asvel team, which, in addition to being in the French League, is a EuroLeague team. So they're playing teams from all across Europe in addition to the French League schedule. And Metz 92 is a much smaller team, lower budget, lower expectations for them as a team, but also about a game a week, which allowed him to play all the games, focus on building and resting his body and his skills in the time where you're not playing games. But, he was talking about doing 2-a-day practices, right? And he's got a whole team of trainers, doctors, whose job it is to just make sure that he can stay healthy.
Right.
And
it feels like that's the big word, health. That's the only thing I can think of that stopped him is his health. That's it. His physical side. And then, look, he's going to hit the rookie wall.
Sure.
Yeah, if that's going to happen, I don't think he's going to be out, unless you disagree. He's mid-20 points per game, 15, 17, 18 rebounds. I don't know if it's like that, but I think it's like a soft double-double.
I think we'll see very quickly what kind of impact he's going to have on the offensive end of the floor, and you kind of caught a glimpse of it in those games that he played against the G League Ignite. 37 points, 7 threes, 5 blocks in the first game, and I think he followed it up with 36, right? The spacing at the NBA level, the rules that favor the offense and, don't really allow physical defense. That's the other thing is, watching these French League games, he's in a rock fight with grown men in the post. They're trying to bully him, trying to physically intimidate him. And it didn't really work for the most part. I think I'm not as worried as a lot of people are about his physical frame, his strength. That stuff will all build and scale. And I thought he had a great answer when somebody asked him, what about the people who say you need to bulk up? He said, why don't you tell others that they need to skinny up?
Yeah, skinny up, yeah.
That was hilarious, man. He's got a good sense of humor too, which I always like.
The trade with Minnesota, a little odd.
Yeah.
Was it pretty much 1 for 2, basically 1 for second round, which is the current one.
Right.
Was, and then for 2 futures.
The 33rd pick, which is functionally it's like a late first round pick for 2 future second round picks. Underwhelming, probably disappointing.
Could have just been nobody want to help the Spurs. You guys just won the freaking lottery, and you got a Wemby coming. Good, have fun with that.
Maybe a little bit of spite, but you look at some of the guys that fell into the 20s in this draft. Nick Smith in particular is a guy he when he dropped to 20. I think you got picked at 27, 28, something around there, and you're watching him fall, and you're like, man, if he just goes a couple more spots, the Spurs can scoop him up. And the timing of the trade was a little odd to me too, because it's not like the Spurs were on the clock. Yeah. Like the pick was like 5 picks away and they traded it. So I guess they had some guys that they were like, if this guy falls to 33, we'll take him. And all those guys were off the board, and they didn't feel the need to go trade up for him.
And by the way, poor guy, he puts on a Spurs hat. The Spurs logo is blazing everywhere.
Leonard Miller was the pick at 33.
And he goes to
good player.
He goes to the conference, the TV setup, and they tell him, so you're probably going to be going to Minnesota.
Right.
So, I've been calling this the most anticlimactic Spurs draft in years.
Yeah.
I always joked about it. I said Silver should have just posted it on NBA.com last week and said, look, save your time, Spurs people coming in from San Antonio. The pick is in. But, overall, now it's just how this team, I don't see them making a mate. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because Keldon Johnson's the most delicious trade bait they have right now.
Delicious.
I mean, if you're another team and you're looking at Keldon Johnson and a young kid, flexible, contract, young, made Team USA, rising star.
He's definitely a great asset.
I mean,
there's definitely teams that would want him.
And you can't scoff at possibly flipping him because remember that whole thing? They're never going to trade Derek White. You're out of your mind. Traded him. They're going to trade an all-star, DeJounte Murray. Traded him.
I mean, I think it's different now though because, like you have to look at things now in terms of before Victor and after Victor, right? Before Victor, the Spurs were in slow decline that they basically recognized as something that they couldn't climb their way out of. So the way that they climbed out of it was by plummeting all the way to the bottom and landing the number 1 pick in tonight's draft. And that's why you trade DeMar DeRozan for picks and Thad Young. And then you trade Thad Young for a pick. And then, every trade that they made that was future focused. Jakob Poeltl, Derek White, DeJounte Murray. All of those trades were made with the idea of we're building for the future. And when you have a 22-win season and win the lottery and get the best draft prospect in 2 decades, the future is now. So now, I think the Spurs are a lot less inclined to part ways with the good players on their roster who have been part of the culture here, who are leaders and who understand what Greg Popovich wants. I think they're a lot less inclined now to part ways with those guys because they know they're important for what they have.
I'll let you know, Tom, I'm not going to be surprised if he's flipped, though. I'm not at all. I would not be surprised.
It wouldn't shock me.
Nope.
But I don't think they're going to do it.
I think we're going to hear reports from notable sources down the road.
Well, flip him for what or who is the question.
I think the who. Not for what. I think they're okay with the assets. I think it's going to be for the who now. So I think you see all these assets now. It's going to be like, who are they going to flip for? Who's going to be on their radar? What potential established big name or all-star, fringe all-star they can bring in right now? Because the way I look at it, there's going to be an odd man out right now in the lineup. Somebody's going to go to the bench.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped over the fun you'll have. They got flash deals, last-minute tickets, images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation, job protection. They got it all over at Game Time. It's the easiest way to buy and find tickets for every event in your area. So forget planning in months. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of event. Again, those exclusive flash deals for tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, and more. You get the Game Time experience. It's easy, fast, convenient. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you'll never have to dig through your email. 2 taps, and you're all set. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to talk about PrizePicks. Look, you want to go to PrizePicks right now. How does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players, and they're going to score more than less than their PrizePick projection. You go up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport you watch: NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, disc golf, MMA, boxing, cricket, Euro basketball, and so much more. Look, entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super easy to use, safe and fast withdrawals. currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com right now to play daily fantasy sports. First-time users get themselves a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks gives you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
I think
it's a good problem to have. You're San Antonio, but
sure.
Something's got to give.
And we also don't know exactly what this roster is going to look like when it's all said and done, when free agency's over, when trade dust settles, and we still have to see. But I'm of the opinion, I'm pretty sure at this point that the Spurs aren't going to do anything drastic to shake things up. Because as underwhelming as it was from a, content and what are we going to talk about perspective, this was a momentous day in the history of the San Antonio Spurs. Yep. And, like you look at what the Celtics did trading Marcus Smart, right? You brought in a piece in Kristaps Porzingis that I think is going to help you, right? You got draft picks. But, I know and love a lot of Celtics fans, and
it hurt them.
They reacted to that trade like it was a shotgun blast.
Yep.
That's
their heart and soul right there.
And, if that's how the fans are feeling, you can only imagine how the guys in that locker room are feeling. Like I think that trading Keldon Johnson at this point, not only would you be parting ways with your emotional leader, right? But you're telling everybody else in that locker room, we will absolutely ship you out to wherever if we think it will help this team become, if we think there's an upgrade out there. And that's obviously the nature of the business, right? But at the same time, if you're building a culture, right? And, this team suffered through a lot and learned a lot together in the last year. And so I think that upending that right now, when you got so much excitement that we were looking for the guy and, we felt good about this group, and now we got the guy to fit us around.
Yeah.
I think that making drastic moves at this juncture would be a mistake.
Okay. I disagree.
Clearly.
I disagree.
Your face right now is...
I think you got to be aggressive.
Sure.
But, if we're talking about like teammates right now, one good thing that came out of this whole weekend was he got a little vibing with Jeremy Sohan. So yes. I like that. Sohan already called him his teammate. Sohan interviewed him, funny interview him at Media Day. That's good. So everything's ship-shape. We'll see what's next for the Spurs. They shake up the team still? They don't.
I don't think they do. I think that I think they're going to do the "we like the group we have" thing. At least for a while.
Yeah.
Trade deadline. Maybe it becomes obvious that somebody's redundant. Maybe it becomes obvious that they have a need here or there.
Yeah.
But while the timeline is accelerated right now, I don't think there's any need to rush things.
We will see what the Spurs do, and we'll have it all for you right here on Ken's 5 TV, kens5.com/Spurs, the digital site, and right here on Locked On Spurs. Successful night. I mean, no-brainer. But now comes the real deal. Yeah. What are they going to do to incorporate Wemby and make this team get out of the cellar and get back to the NBA mountaintop? I don't think it'll happen this year. I think it'll give them about year 3 of the Wemby era. I think then we'll see them really being a threat in the West. Tom, tell everybody how they can follow you on social media.
On Twitter at Real Tom Petrini. A lot of fakes out there.
There's only one Tom Petrini. I am Jeff Garcia. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at JeffGSpursZone. Yeah, that's Barclays right now. They're shutting down right now. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Ken's 5 Plus app, many other places. You guys are the everydayers. Next Monday, we'll be discussing more about Wembanyama. Shocker. Hopefully I'll go back to video. As you can probably hear, I'm still not in the 100% over this cold I've been dealing with. But we'll get back to video soon as I get better. But for Tom Petrini, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.